Hi everyone, we're here with my good friend Robert,
Robert.
the Pilgrim. And guess what? His middle name is also Marlon.
That's funny.
I'm happy to have you here, man. I'm beyond glad to have you here. You know I'm glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here too.
This is crazy. He literally drove through the storms of Red Deer, Alberta, and he was able to make it here tonight. And this was a long time coming. Long time coming.
Like what?
But today had to be the day. I'm glad to have you here, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Genuinely glad to have you here.
Okay.
Wow. So how are you?
Good.
Great.
I am just enjoying the moment.
That's good. That's good. That's good. No, it's true. You have to, sometimes you have to live in the moment, enjoy it, absorb everything that's going on, and,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you grew up in Jamaica. I know you have lots of interesting stories. I know you're a guy that has a similar mindset as I do in terms of helping people and motivating people. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up being where you are right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you know, that my name is Robert.
Yes.
I was born in Jamaica in St. Catherine, and
Okay.
I am the fifth of 11 kids.
Wow. Holy moly.
Yes, my mom had 2 kids before my dad met her, and he had 2, and then the rest of them it's within, being married. So
Wow.
I was that kid, but I don't know. It's just like growing up together. We started out very good as a family, but then things happened where that it didn't work out between my mom and my dad, and things really got bad. And it so happened that we basically, as kids, just raised each other because my dad,
Wow.
he left, and my mom, she stuck around as long as she possibly could to help us grow. But from the my dad left when we were I was maybe about 11 years old.
Wow.
Right?
It's early.
Very early, and I had siblings younger than I was.
Wow.
Right? So basically, we just came together and we did what we could to help us, help each other, grow and to do the best we could. And from a tender age, I would leave school and go out to work just to buy like school supplies, all of those things, trying to keep myself going and all of that.
Wow.
But I don't know, but something was just not right. My mom was a Christian, and my daddy, he wasn't a Christian, but what happened that she instilled certain values within us were in that as much as we were poor, because when you talk about poverty, I lived a life of poverty. Like I would come home from school and whatever shoes that I had to take that off and put it aside, and I would have to walk barefoot for the rest of the day because I only had one pair of shoes for the year.
Wow.
And when it was broken, basically I had to take it to the shoemaker and get it mended so that I could,
Use it again.
just keep going, right? So from a tender age, it was really hard for us. It was really hard. So, just growing up and going to school, and when I was supposed to be going to high school or something like that, it was my grades weren't up, because in Jamaica it's like you have to take an exam to go to high school. If you don't get that exam, if you don't pass that exam,
Then you don't.
basically you're go out and work. Right?
Wow. Okay. Did you guys ever have the test where you had to do this and touch your ear
Oh, all the time.
in order to in
All
order
the
to
time.
know in order
All
to
the
know if you're
time.
ready for school?
I think that was a punishment in school, where you did something wrong and you were punished that way.
Yeah.
I hated it because
Yeah.
initially I was a bully, so I experienced a lot of that.
What? What?
Right? Yes.
I never actually thought you were. What?
Confess.
Really? Wow.
I was a bully, and I had a gang. You know, guys who respected me because they feared me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's interesting. Wow.
what happened is that when we went to junior high, there was another guy there that he claimed that he was tougher than I was.
Mm-hmm.
So my guys, they feared him more. So of course they went over to him, and I'm like standing alone, right? So
Wow.
they decided that there can only be one of us.
Right.
So every day I was threatened how I was going to get my butt kicked and whatever. And I remember one day, I had a bad temper then, really bad temper. Mm. And I remember one day that I was like at the fountain having a drink of water, and when I looked, you know, all of them came around me, even the guys who I thought were my friends.
Wow.
You know, because they were told that they have to beat me up.
Wow. That's a huge lesson in life at an early age.
Right. Yeah. And I remember that they came and they started kicking and punching. And I stood there for a while and I took it. And it's like the Incredible Hulk came out.
Yeah, there you go.
And there was this metal pail that was right beside me. And I remember I grabbed it and I started just swinging and I started beating guys from left to right. And I was so much enraged that when they even pulled me into the principal office and she was asking me what was going on, I could not even answer. It was a janitor act to explain to the principal exactly what happened. And that was so funny though, because after that they still threatened me that they were going to beat me up anyways.
Wow.
Yeah. And but the funny thing about it is that I remember that I was going home from school that day, and as soon as I left the schoolyard, all I could see was guys coming around me again.
Wow.
And what I did basically was that I'm like, okay, this time I'm not going to get off so easily. And then a couple of friends that were in the upper grade, they came and they saw and they pulled them back, and I said, I want that guy. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
This is, if I beat that guy, everything is good.
Everything goes, yeah.
And I remember I beat him so badly.
Wow.
That I had to hide away from school the next day. But that was it. And I realized that bullying then wasn't something that I wanted to be. So later on, I became the person who defended those who were bullied.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So that was a part of my school days.
Wow. So the bully ended up changing his mindset about bullying.
Yes.
Because he experienced
what it was to be bullied.
Like. Wow.
Right. So that was it.
And that's a big thing too. Like even in life, like sometimes you have to fight back. You have to fight back, and you have to be prepared to fight back.
I was willing to fight back. It's in Jamaica. It's like it's either you get your ass whooped or sorry for saying.
Yeah. No. That's fine. This episode, this is unfiltered. This is unfiltered, guys. This is where you know a lot about us, including myself, including Robert. A lot. This is unfiltered. This is us relaxed in our states, having conversations about real life situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right, absolutely. Yeah, like it's kind of similar to how I felt as well. Like I told you, I before we started going online here, I lost my job 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's initially when it happened, I saw some signs previously, but I didn't. I tried to still keep a positive mind, and I tried to still see if I could figure things out. I defended myself on so many occasions, but sometimes you have people that are just bent on pushing you to a certain. They're trying to push you out of the situation.
Push you out of the situation, right?
And especially when these people are power hungry and they are put into a position, you know, it tends to be your word against them, or how, I'm not quite sure how that lingo works, so your word against mine or whatever it is, but they're in a position where, okay, yeah, upper management or whatever believes them over you and all that, and eventually that's what happened. And you know what, when that happened to me, I was telling you, when that happened to me, I felt liberated.
Good.
I felt I texted my girlfriend, and guess what she texted me back?
What?
She told me congratulations. That's what she said.
Legit.
That's what she said.
Nice, nice.
My sister, I can show you the text. She tried to call me, but I was saying goodbye to everybody in the office, and I was smiling with them and everything. When I eventually saw her text, she said, actually, I have my phone here. I'll show you. I'll show you exactly what she said. Where is her name? Right here. She said this. What does that say? Right here.
Please don't feel bad at all.
What is
said congrats on leaving the place.
Please don't feel bad at all.
Right.
Even the people at work told me the same thing. And you see, and I told the boss when he fired me, because the person sort of in the background wasn't the one that actually did the firing, but he was the one I kind of reported to.
Right.
I told my boss, I'm like, who is the VP? I told him, I said, I know what you're doing, and you think you're doing it for the best interest of the company, which I respect. If I'm in your situation, that's exactly what I'll do. But just so you know, I'm not the only one that has this mentality. And the mentality I have is there's some people with certain unrealistic expectations. And I'm not the first or the second or the third person to be let go of this position within 2 years.
Right.
And if you think there's not something wrong somewhere, right? And if you think everybody in this office we're not having the same mentality, then you need to check again. I need to run an investigation. What I try to do is I'm not somebody that would implicate anybody or put anybody in trouble. But one thing I respect is fairness. I think people need to be fair, and I think people need to be honest and loyal. You know, we're not always like that.
Well, the thing about it, the reality of it is that what we think and what we believe that people should be or the world should be, tough luck, it's not that way.
Yeah, that's
right.
True. Yeah.
It's some people would say it's dog eat dog out there, and it's like a survival. It's a rat race.
Yeah.
And most people are in survival mode. So it's like anything that will threaten their position or anyone they think will be a threat to their position, they're going to undermine them as much as possible so they can get them out.
That makes sense.
Right? So this is just the way it is. It's like, you know, people out there, I want this job, I want this position, so they will do whatever it takes to get it. So my question is that, when did we get there? When did we get to the point wherein that we feel like we have to put other people down to maintain a position or to get a position or to even survive?
That's the thing.
So this is where I am looking in a different way of life to say that if this is a way that the job world is, wherein that you have to be doing that and you're moving from one job, because you're always going to be under scrutiny, you're always going to be told what to do, you have no control over your life. If your boss wants you to take home the work, that means even if you have a family, you're taking time away from your family and all of that.
Yeah.
So my question is that, why is it that we can stop and look out of the box?
Right. I agree with you. I think as men and even women, as human beings, we are not meant to live in constraint. We're made to explore and take over. Like even the Bible said, the fullness of the earth is, you know, is God's as well.
Yeah.
And what is God's is ours.
But the thing about it is that we as humans, we just want to take full control.
Yeah.
We want to control everything, and there is nothing wrong with taking full control.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing.
But in the sense that if you are like for instance, I'm still employed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still employed, and I am answerable to my boss and those who are set above me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, in the industry that I work in, I work away from my family, the oil and gas
Oil and gas
industry,
industry, yeah.
right? I work away from home for 15 days. And I say that I'm doing this for my family, right? But the bottom line is that, yes, I'm making the money for them to survive, but how much value that I'm adding to their lives by being home for 6 days, wherein that I am just like on the run, trying to catch up with my friends, trying to balance things out.
Exactly.
So if you don't see something wrong with that, wherein that you have to be competing in the workplace every day, and you have to be like going away from home forever, something is wrong with you.
No, I agree. I agree. Because you can't get that time back, you know?
No, that is
can't.
one thing you can't get back.
Yeah.
You can't get that back. I got a friend right now. For the last 3 years, he must have changed maybe about 7 jobs.
Oh my God.
7 jobs. I can tell you that because he's like trying to find where he belongs, where he can make the money.
Yeah.
And it's like everywhere that he's been to so far, it's like, it's not what I'm expecting. What are you looking for? What are you expecting? It's a job, for God's sake. Right? It's either that you're going to be satisfied with it,
Yeah.
or you're going to say, I have to take control and do something that will benefit me in the long run.
Yeah.
Right? And today I was told by another friend that he just quit his other job, and he just got another job that he's going to be like away from home for months, and he only get 1 day off.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Does he have a family?
he's got a girlfriend, and he's got a baby.
Wow.
And I said to him, I could not do that to myself or my family, because you know, you're chasing the money, the dollar, and all of that, but you know what, it's going to go anyways. The bottom line is that your kids need you, your family need you,
Yeah.
and just giving monetary value to them, it's not enough. In the oil field, in the oil and gas industry, I've heard so many stories wherein that men have been away from their wives for so many years, just working the field, and then their wives get lonely and go astray, and they get lonely and they go astray. And by the time, like 3 years ago, when we had that crash, when a lot of them came home, it was like they came home to strangers. Their wives didn't recognize them so much because they're not used to having them around so much.
Been away for so long.
For so long, right? And this is where I'm like, okay, what are you expecting from a job?
So,
what are you expecting?
So what are you telling them to do? What are you insinuating they do?
I'm telling you that I've seen
Because
people.
most people feel like the only way and their best bet is to have a job and try to save or try to figure something out working for other people. Personally, I'm against working for somebody for the rest of your life, as you know. But
Question is that,
Yeah.
how much can you save for your lifetime
working for other people.
working for other people? So if you even save like, all right, say you saved like $100,000. Okay, your average salary income maybe $60,000 a year. How long is that $100,000 going to last you? That's my point. So basically, what other people have done, they have found other ways of investing their money to turn over more money and creating cash flows. Right? This false concept of using RRSPs as mutual fund, as investing in dumping a lot of that into RSPs, their income in RSPs, and have tax deferrals, and then when tax time comes around, they get this big lump sum from the government. Oh, I'm going on a vacation. Understand this. Understand
It's
this.
hard.
That money is yours that the government is giving you back. Okay? So if you're looking at RSPs as a way of retirement, you're making a sad mistake. Because one of the things is that if they say that you're going to retire with $1 million, okay, whatever your tax bracket is at that point in time, whether 40% or whatever, the government is going to take that back from you later on. And when he takes that away from you, it all depends again on the inflation at that time when you retire. So chances are your $1 million might be like $500,000 or less.
That's very true.
right? So is that a way of retiring or saving your money to say have a better life? Absolutely not. So people like the guys who started Uber, people who started Skip the Dishes, smart, ding. And people might look at it as being simple, but here's the guy, here are a few guys who came up with ideas that they're thinking that if I could give a part of my company to somebody and make them feel a part of my company, that they can make money and I can make money. Basically, if I can get 100 people to do that with me, basically I can be a millionaire and they can also have an income and have ownership over their lives. That's what they do. So you work according to the time that you feel like you should work and how much money that you want to make. Basically, those guys said, here is freedom.
But one thing those guys also have in common too is they run an online business.
Boom, boom. That's right. And this is where the world is turning, what the world is turning into, right? Everything has been done online right now. And if you notice that all the traditional business now, they're closing their doors. And as I've said to you earlier on, you walk through Parkland Mall in Red Deer and you'll see how many stores are closed already because nobody's going in there to buy anything. You go online and it's delivered to your door. So people are utilizing the online platform that is there to create wealth while other people are like, I'm chasing after a job. I'm chasing after, it's not, you're killing yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. And one of the things that I can talk that way because I was that person. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of exposing myself to criticism.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right? So I might not be as smart as you are. I might not be as educated as you are. So I don't want you to realize that, so I hide myself in my own corner. And I can tell you that I didn't feel empowered until I realized that I will walk out there and I'll take whatever criticism that you have. And now, creating that kind of lifestyle that from my family and myself, it is like one of the most phenomenal feeling. You can feel the freedom, that it's out there and that you can have. I read an article recently wherein that, like people were going into early retirement, like in their 40s and their 50s, early retirement. And they're saying, oh, we're losing like tens of thousands of dollars based on their income, right? That they're making right now. They're thinking that, yes, we're losing that. But they look at it and they said that it gave them like 10 years on their life expectancy.
Interesting.
10 years it gave them on their life expectancy. And they're happy because now they're not cumbered by, oh my God, I got to wake up to an alarm clock to go to work, for my boss to be yelling at me and meeting deadlines and all of that. I believe that, personally, that people should work to a certain extent. And when they get to like maybe 30, 40, or 50, they should have a life wherein that it doesn't have to be so challenging.
I agree.
And this is you focusing on the earlier part of your youth and creating that.
Yeah.
My realization came late, but I you know what? Look at Colonel Sanders or what Sanders is what his
KFC,
name.
yeah.
KFC. Yeah. He started out late, and now he has a life of legacy. He left a life of legacy.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, my thing is that why do we have to subject ourselves to all of this over and over, wherein that somebody can look at you and tell you that you're not good enough?
Yeah. And for someone to say, like, first of all, in life, everybody is meant for something big. You just need to find out what it is. For someone to say, and I know you just made that statement now, but I've been in positions where I've heard people make that statement about other people, and people have made that statement about me, myself as well. For one to say that someone would not amount to anything,
I've heard that so many times about me. Continue.
To me, it is a very ignorant statement, and it's crazy to say that. At this point in life, I expect people to be more exposed, people to be more thoughtful, people to be more humanitarian, and people to be more, what's the word, to think a lot better, and to think a lot more deeply, to make such a crazy statement like that. I mean, look at the likes of Bill Gates, look at likes of everybody, not even just mentioning those. This is life. It doesn't even, first of all, we're all humans. You can't just condemn another person. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You have no clue. You have no idea. The person that was voted least likely to success in high school is a billionaire now.
Yep.
People, billionaires now, Mark Cuban, I think when he was 20 something, 21, 22, thereabout, he was a dropout in school. He was a dropout. Like, he was sleeping on basement floors, and he was sleeping in his friend's room. This is somebody worth $3.3 billion right now. $3.3 billion. To put that into perspective, what's the population of the world? Is it, what's it?
I don't even remember.
I think it's 8 billion or something like that, maybe. Okay, let's not use Mark Cuban as an example. I think the Facebook guy, what's his name? Zuckerberg. He's worth 20-something billion dollars, I think, right? So let's use Mark as an example. 20-something billion dollars, okay? What's the population of the world? 8 billion people? So
something like that.
So if just listen to this. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know.
You know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're going.
If Mark gives $1 billion, right, to everybody on this planet, right, he will still be worth, what's it, $13 billion?
But that's the thing about it. I mean, a part of that is like
another thing I'm going to say is
asset
this.
plus
Yeah,
cash,
I know it is. I know
value,
it is.
right?
I know it is. But the fact is that the man is worth $21 billion.
I know.
So if he gives $1 billion to everybody in this world, first of all, when McGregor fought Mayweather, he had $100 million, right? And people would say, "Oh, he's set for life. He can retire." So if Cuban gives everybody $1 billion in this world, do you realize that everybody? Sorry, not Cuban. Sorry, Zuckerberg. Everybody, including Zuckerberg, can retire. Obviously, it doesn't work that way. But I'm just looking in terms of numbers. That's how crazy somebody or people that are not as educated as people say that, oh yeah, this guy can't make it, this guy can't make it. They made it to that extent. Like Bill Gates, this made it to that extent, and then you're saying they can't make it. Like, you can't, my point is just this, you can't look down on people. Let's stop doing that. That's nonsense.
I remember when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
This guy looked at me and he said to me that you'll never be able to buy a house in your lifetime.
Just crazy statement.
I was told by other people that you would never amount to anything. I was compared to my brothers as being, even my self-esteem was hammered down. I was compared to be not as handsome as my brothers, not as smart as my brothers. And I can tell you that there were days that I separated myself from people because I was dying and I was bawling and nobody knew exactly what I was going through, and I would not express it to anybody because I didn't want people to see my pain. So I ended up being one of this little boy who was always smiling, always looked happy, and nobody would know exactly what's happening to me. When there was like this point in time in my neighborhood where that guys would come and rob us like every Christmas, break into our houses and at gunpoint and all of that. And there was this guy in our neighborhood who literally came over and he said, "Okay, I can give you guys guns to defend yourselves." Okay, we got the guns, we went out, we defended ourselves, they didn't come back. But what I'm trying to say now is that everything that was happening to me at that point in time, nobody understood because they were saying mean things to me as a kid. I didn't know how to express it and I didn't want to look like some weak guy or kid. I'm a man and I have to be strong. But behind the scene I was crying. And when I turned 16, then I was introduced to some Christian people who, told me about Christ, even though I grew up learning about Christ, but I didn't get into the church, by myself. But when they were telling me about the love of God and the fellowship that God wants us to have as human beings, I felt like I wanted something like that. And for a kid that was so broken, didn't have any sense of direction, I went into the church, and when I went into the church, I didn't even have clothes to go to church. So my mother got me some hand-me-down, and the pants were so big that when I put the belt in it, it was like I had to loop it. You had this big loop in the side of it. And I would go to church like in the nights because I didn't want people to see who I was.
Wow.
Right? I didn't want them to see me coming to church every Sunday in the same clothes, looking like that. And then one day, one of the church sisters, she looked at me and she's like, "Why are you not coming to church on Sunday in the days?" And I'm like, "Well, I just prefer the Sunday night service." And she said, "You know what? You should come." And I don't know what happened, but I just made up my mind that, you know what? I want to serve God. I want to live that life of fellowship. So I went anyways, and because I was still searching for something more than what I had. The pain, I wanted to get rid of the pain and everything. And I remember that it was so bad because the house that we lived in was so small, and all of us kids were living in there. And one day, one of my church sisters, she looked at me and she said to me, "I'm going to talk to my dad. We got a big house, and it's just my dad and I are living here, and my mom is in England. So I want you to come and stay with us."
Wow.
For the first time in a long time, I've experienced such love.
Wow.
She took me under her wings and she started grooming me. She started inspiring me to be the better person. And everything that people told me that I could not become, I started working on it to prove them wrong.
Wow.
With the limited knowledge that I had, the resources that I had, when I was supposed to go to high school, because what happened was that, as I said before, you had to take the exams to go to high school. And I went to my dad and I said to my dad, "Hey, my teacher said that I'm way behind. You know what? You need extra lessons." I went to my dad and I said to him, "I need money to take extra lessons." My dad said, "I'm not the only one who got you. So you need to go ask your mom." I walked a mile that day to go to my dad to ask him for the money. And I had to walk away from my dad crying a mile walking back home.
Wow.
Never mind that. You know what? I picked myself up, and the people who were there that were inspiring me to be better were there walking with me and just saying, "Robert, you can do this, you can do that." And I pushed myself. In my lifetime, I bought 2 houses. I've started 2 businesses.
Wow.
And I'm like, look at me now. Right?
That's a success story
I
right there, yeah.
was living above the average person when I was in Jamaica, before I left Jamaica and came here. And regardless that, I opened a restaurant. I put my mom in charge of the restaurant. My wife and I, we started this bus business, because the government sold out a part of it to the private sector, and we spent like maybe about $150,000 buying into it. Not many people could do that at that time. Mm-hmm. We got our bus shipped into the island from Japan. It was like nothing. And this was where I realized that I didn't need people to validate my life as to what I can become.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I wanted ownership of my life. Right? So this is just what I'm saying, is that no matter what people think of you, if you accept what they say about your life or who you're going to become, then you will become it. But if you believe that there is something else, and one of the greatest things that I found out is that this is one of the most accurate statement, is that, the people who you
Yes.
run with,
Yes.
will determine who you're going to become
Yes,
later on in
I
life.
tell you, yeah.
So if you run with losers, you're going to be a loser. If you run with drunks, you're going to be drunks.
Yes.
But if you find people of success principles and the mindset to move forward in life and to have ownership of their lives, then I can guarantee you 100% that that is going to be so. And
Yes.
it was because of those people that I found back in Jamaica that told me that, Robert, you didn't have to be that way. Because I had friends who gave up and took the gun up and became robbers and all of that. And I remember, like in 2008 when I went back to Jamaica, I remember one of my friend who was, because I had the same opportunity as he did to join this notorious gang in Jamaica. And a lot of us, we turned it down. Thank God we did. But he became a part of it, and they went on some robbery and all of that. And it so happened that they took some of the money that they stole, and the Don was like, okay, I'm going to punish you.
Wow.
And 2 of them were killed.
Wow.
Right? So this is just my thing, is that I can't attribute whatever I have become and what I am becoming to just me. It's the people who I found to be of positive influence. Right? And if you stay in your corner by yourself, I can tell you, I can guarantee you, you're going to fail. You're going to fail because when the pressures come and the depression comes, who are you going to be like having a shoulder to cry on?
The crown, yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that's just where I'm at. I don't need, I told them at my work right now, I said to them, I don't need any one of you to validate my life. I said, I came here to make the money for my family. If you want to be my friend, you can be my friend. I will gladly take you as my friend. But if you're this negative person who will just criticize everybody, stay away from me. Right?
Yeah.
So
First of all, that's an amazing story. Yeah, I'm just blown away. And what people don't know also is that some people might think that, okay, after you went through all that, that was the end of your struggle. They don't know that, that you've been through lots of family stuff. You've been through divorce. You've been through other crazy stuff, even after those things, and you're still where you're at, and you're constantly going through stuff. It's people don't know that.
nope, because
People don't know that the struggle never stops.
it never. And I could have given up because
Yeah.
when my marriage failed. My marriage failed when I was in Jamaica, and I told her, I said, take whatever you want, because I knew that I had the ability to rebuild.
Wow.
But at the same time, the business went crashing. And $70,000 that I had saved up, she took that too. So I was left on my face, and I borrowed money to get the bus going again and everything. And I can tell you this, it wasn't easy. It was really challenging, because after I got the bus fixed up, everything, spent how much thousands of dollars on it. I remember one day a friend of mine said to me, he had the license to operate it. He said to me, I want to do it for you today. And I gave him the keys, and I said, go ahead. And I went to the gym. And by the time I got home, I got a phone call.
way.
I'm in an accident.
Oh my God.
Jesus. It was like, as a matter of fact, I would say that my wife then, she was my first love. And I gave her everything that I had, my affection, everything, but it just wasn't reciprocated. So that also broke my self-esteem and everything, because I believed in that, you get married once and that was it. But at that point in time, I was so broken, and then the people who I was hanging around with, I thought more than less they would have been a little bit more supportive. And I got so many negative words from them.
Wow.
That I felt like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. And I remember at one point in time, I called her and I said, thank you for taking everything. Thank you for, taking my heart, my money, my life, everything. and she thought that I was gonna be doing like committing suicide or something like that.
Yeah.
So she called my sister. At least she did. And my sister sent a friend come knocking on the door to make sure that I was okay. But over time, God has helped me to get the strength to rise again.
That's what I was trying to say too, is that when you're in that state, when you say that, people can think you're suicidal or whatever it is, but you know the kind of state you're in. And when you get to that state, it's like, okay, I'm happy all this has happened. It's defined who I am. This is where I'm gonna start building myself up. This is where I realize that I have my own destiny in my hands and I have to start doing something about it. Did you have that mindset, or is it okay?
No. At that point in time, I was angry.
Oh, okay.
I was broken. I had no thought of, becoming anything. You had no idea how bad that was. And
okay. So at that stage, you still had the anger and
I still had the anger and all of that.
Okay.
I had to work my way for over a year. I had to work beyond that.
Wow.
Not to hate this person. Not to hate this person. Because I knew how hard I had worked to get where I was. Because, just to put it this way, her mom died when she was young, and she didn't know her dad but her stepdad. And basically her last 2 years in college, God has helped me to finance that. Okay. Even her first job and everything, I got her the first job. I never thought of it as something that she owed me, because it was a gift to somebody that I loved. Okay. But it's just the way that I was treated. That is what hurt me more than ever. It wasn't that, oh, I gave you all of this and I gave you all of that. But over time, and I can tell you that, within that period of time, nobody could get me to be committed to a relationship. Absolutely nobody. I didn't care who you were, no matter how much you think you liked me, you stay away from me. We can have fun, but that was it. Yeah. That's how broken I was. And then about a year and a half later on, I started thinking, and I'm like, look at where I've become, what I've become, where I am at right now. And I started praying, and I said, God, I got to change. I got to get back where you want me to be. And I remembered at one point in time, we invited some friends over for supper, and when we sat at the table, she looked at me and she said to me, I don't even remember what the conversation was. I don't think if we were to ever separate, you could ever survive without me.
Wow.
She said that to me. I'm not lying. I swear to God she did. And I'm like, I was surviving a long time before I met you, so
hell yeah.
I don't know how is it that possible that I wouldn't survive without you. And I remember saying that if this relationship should dissolve, I don't want to be here in Jamaica. I want to go somewhere else to start all over. And this is a miracle. I'm telling you, me being here, this is a miracle. So I remember that I got the bus fixed up, I started operating it again, getting my life back together, started going to the gym, enjoying my life again. And one day a friend of mine called me and he said, what's your full name? Because of course everybody's used to calling me Pilgrim.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And one thing I can tell you about Jamaicans is that if they get your nickname, they're not interested in anything else.
They don't want to know what your name is. That's yeah, that's it.
Right? That's it, right?
Yeah.
So I said, why do you want my full name? And he's like, just tell me your full name. And I said, I told him my full name, and when I told him my full name, he called me back like an hour later and he said to me, my brother-in-law is looking for drivers to work in Canada.
Wow.
And so I put your name in.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. Do you know how many guys wanted that opportunity? And he gave it to me.
Wow.
He gave it, and this was when I first met this guy.
That's crazy.
We were like at each other like this, and we became good friends. But that was where the miracle started, wherein that, you know, I got the opportunity to come here and I started working I worked at a landscaping company in Calgary. And at that time, I had a girlfriend who, she was in med school. And I remember when I was here, she called me and she said to me, "Is your divorce final?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why are you asking?" She said, "Well, I want to be the next Mrs. Watson."
Wow.
I freaked out. I'm like, no.
First of all, that rhymed. I like how you said that.
What?
You said, yeah. She was in med school and then she called me. And then you said, what did you say after she called me?
Why?
She said, she's
She
like,
asked me
why?
if my divorce.
And it's like, yeah, she's like, is your divorce final or whatever? And she asked me. And then you're like, why? And I was like, because I want to be the next Miss Watson. You almost sound like a Jamaican rapper there, but that was pretty good. Just my observation. Some things I observe and I know. But.
She no, that's fine, that's fine. But
Yeah.
she was a phenomenal girl, but I was not ready for that kind of commitment. And you know, I worked myself into just saying I wanted to recreate myself. I wanted to start afresh. And when I came here and I was like working here and I drove around and I saw help needed and that we will train you on the job, I'm like, yes.
So yeah, sounds legit.
This is where
yeah.
I want to be.
Yeah.
And my boss, his brother-in-law, was in business with him. He was his partner, and he was giving me a hard time. They literally robbed us of hundreds of dollars
Wow.
because we were foreign workers. The government stated that we shouldn't pay back anything, like if anything through immigration or airfare or anything like that. And they signed a contract with the government that they would give us a certain rate. And when they started making money, they started switching it around wherein that would make less, right? And every time we accepted that deal, they would switch it around, and then what they would do was that they would pay us what the government requires, and then they would tell us that we had to pull it out of our account and pay them the difference,
Wow.
right? So this is how we were manipulated and taken disadvantage of. It was like we were threatened that we weren't going to be getting the opportunity to come back.
Wow.
And so I realized who this guy was, and like I couldn't do it anymore.
It's
So
some snakish move, yeah.
yeah. So I spoke up about that, and
Oh wow. That
And-
took some nerve.
oh yeah, I did.
What?
I don't want to mention him.
Right. And so happened that the boss, he realized that if I were to go to the government, he would have been charged for that. They would have fined him for that.
Yeah, that's
So-
exactly what I mean by that took some nerve, especially as an immigrant coming over and
Right.
like really?
Right.
Like wow.
So
That's some kahunas.
here is how the miracle goes now. This is how the miracle goes. And
That's
people
what we
don't
wanna-
believe in
that's what we wanna
miracle.
know, yeah.
I'm a living testimony. I'm a miracle.
There we go.
And so I went to Reggae Fest and I met this girl there, and you know,
When you said miracle, I'm like, okay, what's the next name? Like Reggae Fest.
just chill, just chill, just chill. I love my reggae. I love my
There you
reggae.
go. There you go. Yeah.
Right? And so we started talking and all of that, and it so happened that, you know, it got real serious and we started dating and all of that. And we had some common interests because, man, I remember that I was paying like a phone bill for $300. Seriously.
Wow, this is tough.
Because I was living in Calgary and she was living in Edmonton.
Oh wow.
And I didn't have that, you know, Canada-wide thing. And I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Why am I paying so much money? But anyways, so it so happened that like every weekend that after, I would take the Red Arrow to Edmonton and back by Sunday evening to go to work Monday morning and all of that. I didn't know that they were plotting against me and my friends,
Wow.
that they weren't going to renew our contracts. And so when our contract ended and we went back home, before we went back home, he's like, yep, I'm going to renew your contract and everything. No worries, man. No worries. No worries. And I'm like, okay, fine. Fine, you're going to do it. That's all right. That's fine with me. And I remember I was talking to my girlfriend at that time, and I'm like, I think they're lying. And she's like, she's like, well, if they're not going to take you back, I'm going to take you back.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I can send you an invitation and you can come back. I'm like, okay, fine. So when I went back home, she came back home and she spent some time with me there. And then she came back to Canada, and I found out that they came out, my boss, they came out secretly in Jamaica, recruited a bunch of guys. And even when he came to Jamaica and I called him, he said, oh yeah, we're gonna meet soon and we're gonna talk about us, you coming back and all of that. And I'm like, ha ha ha, whatever. Anyways, it so happened that this is the big miracle. Mm-hmm. When I found out that what he was doing, I mentioned it to my girlfriend at that time, and she said, okay, you know what? I will send you an invitation. And I said, okay, you know what? I don't care. I'm moving by faith. I sold my business in Jamaica.
Wow.
I sold my business in Jamaica to my brother-in-law. And when I sold it, and she sent the invitation letter, and the same flight that I was on, it was the same flight the guys that he recruited was on.
What are the
Wow.
chances?
I'm like, they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Canada.
Wow.
We're in Canada. I'm going to Edmonton.
Wow.
And it was like, man. So, you know, I was here for a little bit, and I'd never overextended my time. And she said to me, if you go back home, what's going to happen? It's going to be harder for me to get you back up here. So we went to an immigration consultant, and we sought out advice as to what we can do. And the immigration consultant said, well, if you're married, legally you can stay here for as long as you want, but you can't work. But what you'll do at that time is to apply for your paperwork to be done. So she said, well, let's get married then.
Wow.
And we got married, and it was good for a while. That was for a while anyways. But the point that I'm making is that the miracle started wherein that I said that I didn't want to be there if something were to happen to that marriage, right? And I came here and I started my life, and I would sit down with her and I would talk about life, and I would say to her, look, this is where I want to be in life. I want to buy a bigger house. I had a vision board.
Yeah. Those are so important.
I had a vision board. This is where I want to be in life. We're going to buy this house, and we're going to buy this car, and we're going to do that. How are you going to do that? She said. People have been living here for how many years, and they haven't achieved that. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to find a way. How about starting my own business? And I started talking to a friend of mine, talking about landscaping and all of that, having a landscaping company, because that guy in Calgary was making a kill. And he just borrowed money and he started his own company. Why can't I do that? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm on board with you. And then later on, nothing happened. So I started working at this place making heat trace cables in Edmonton, and I was like, oh my God, $20 after everything is paid. I only had $20 in my pocket. I'm like, this is not it. This is not it. I lived a better life in Jamaica. I can live a better life here. This is a first world country. I'm not here with a third world mentality, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So a friend of mine said to me, why don't you come to the oil field and work? And I'm like, nah, I got nothing with that. I don't even know what to do. And he's like, they'll teach you everything. Get a class 1 license. I said, I still have my international license.
Yeah.
Right? He said, they will get you one. Just get your class 5 license, and from there they'll move on. And I'm like, I was procrastinating because I was scared. And he started taking picture of his pay stubs, and he started sending it to me.
Then you were more motivated.
8,000, 9,000. And I'm like, is this for real?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm driving to Hinton. And I remember I drove out to Hinton and I applied for the job, and the manager said to me that, oh, when you get your class 5, we'll hire you. And from there on, now, My wife at that time, she didn't share my vision. She didn't share my vision. I tried to show her that life can be better. You don't have to be this way. But she figured more than less that, you know, I was in debt over my head. Now I got somebody who's going to make the money. I can relax. So she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I said to her, give me 2 years and we can work this through and we can build. But she didn't want that. So I said to her, I can't do this because my dream is just like too big to just sit back passively. So we ended up separating, and yeah,
So that's the second one.
second one. So like within like 2 years, I said I'm gonna buy my house. I applied, the kind of house that I wanted. Credit wasn't good enough. She laughed, ha 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 ha. Second year, I was approved for way more, and I bought it. And when she started seeing the cars that I was driving and the life that I was living, she started hating me, and she started hating the girl that I was dating and all of that. But the point is that don't ever let anyone stand in the way of your dream or your vision.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw more potential here in Canada, and people don't even see what they have here.
Yeah.
I think more immigrants sees what's here in Canada than the person who was born
It's
here.
absolutely true. There's no denying in that.
That's true. That is
There's no denying in that.
and one thing I've learned here since I've been here too, that the difference, you know, I've read this book like with John Maxwell, you know, and it's like he said the difference between the rich person and the poor person is the mindset.
Yeah, purely what
And
it
he
is.
explained it, and he broke it down, and he said the mindset of the rich person is that I will invest my money to make more money, so I will deny myself of instant gratification.
Exactly.
But the mindset of the poor person is that I want it right now.
Exactly.
So
and that's what we were talking about. We're having a discussion earlier today, and we said if you're making 60,000 or 70,000 a year, right? And you end up making, and you're talking about your friend here when you were talking to him, and I was talking about you. I'm like, that's exactly the conversation I had with my dad a few days ago. I said, the difference is if you're making 70,000 a year or whatever you think you're making in a city, and then you get a job outside town making whatever 100,000 a year, and everyone thinks your life changes, or they think, wow, you're making money now. So it's when you're making 100,000 a year, if you're a smart person, and if you're somebody that has goals and have things you want to achieve,
you will live below.
your lifestyle is not going to change. It's gonna be the exact same, or even maybe even slightly less than when you're making 60,000.
Do you know what's funny though? It's like the average Canadian, when I look at the stat, the average Canadian spend like $1.75 more than every dollar that he made or she made.
Wow.
So if you're spending $1.75 more for every dollar that you have made,
You're making $1.
basically, you're always going to be
Digging a grave.
right. You're always going to be going off course, and that is why every time, because through certain principles that I'm learning right now, if basically you're earning say $400 or say $4,000 a month, and you're spending $6,000 a month, if you do the math over the year, how much money you're going to be way behind, and that is going to be hard to catch up with.
24,000, yeah.
That is going to be hard for you to even think about. That is why most people go into bankruptcy, and most people are depressed because we spend more than what we earn. Now, how about living within our means? You know, try to save more, invest more, and see where that can take us. How about be more aware of like for instance, like right now what we do is to be more aware of our spending. We do like an envelope budget. We pull out a lump sum of money. This is for this, this is for that. When it's done, it's done. We tell the kids, look, we'll go shopping twice every month. So if you eat off all of this for the first half of the month,
That's all.
you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm giving you the responsibility to make this thing last, because you're going to be hungry, and you're only going to get your meal, your breakfast, your lunch, but no snacks. That's just it. And that's a principle that we took on. And when we look at how much, other people that we're running with, we're running with now, they're becoming debt free through these principles and taking ownership of their lives. We're like, I've never been more happier in my life. And that is taking full control of your life. You see something literally happening in front of you where that you thought was never possible years ago. Because before learning certain success principles, all I thought was, I can afford that Benz, I can afford that that BMW, I can afford whatever, and I'll be like taking pictures and posting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Look at my nice car and all of that. Okay, rude awakening. 3 years ago, after we bought everything that we wanted, and we were on our 5-year plan. When the crash came, because I was in so much debt, I wasn't worried. I thought I was going to get a job. 3, 4, 5 months later on, all the savings that I had went.
Yeah.
I woke up in a panic. So all those pictures that I was posting on Facebook, look at my beautiful car.
I'm like, people will be like, where is it now?
Yeah, where am I going to find the money to pay for it now? And this is what I found out with a lot of people. It's just like they want to live this life, this statusy life, wherein that people look at them differently when they're broke. You're broke, literally broke. If you're in debt, no matter how much money you have, you're broke.
Yeah.
Until you can get there are two different kind of debts that I've learned. Good debts, bad debt. Good debt is like when you borrow the money to invest it in something that will eventually give you a return. And there is bad debt in you going and putting yourself in buying a car that you can't pay for, or buying the quads or the skidoos or whatever you want to buy, and then later on you're crying. This is just how I look at it. And because of those people who are teaching me now, they don't even charge me for doing that, for teaching me all these principles.
Interesting.
They don't even charge me a dime. They like, you want to live a better life, run with us and we'll run with you. And I'm not going to lie to you. I remember before they came into my life, I would be working out, in the field, and I would be like praying to God, show me a way that I can live a better life. I am depressed. I would be like on the treadmill and I would be listening to motivational speech because I needed the motivation to keep me going. I didn't know what to do after the crash in 2015 because I knew it was coming again. Because just like everything, you got a time and a season for everything. So you've got spring, summer, winter, or fall, winter, right? And we prepare ourselves for all these seasons. But when it comes on to our financial aspect of our lives, we never ever look at preparing ourselves for these things.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And think about it. Think about it. You're making a lot of money right now. I can buy whatever I want. I can travel wherever I want to go. But have you ever thought that, what if the economy crashes again? You're going to need that money?
Yeah, that's true.
We're not prepared for it. And that's why, and to be honest with you, even with me, it took me a while. It took me months before I could get out of that mentality, because I was still seeking ways of getting myself in debt. I was still seeking ways of building that life of that life wherein that people look at me differently. What's the sense of people looking at you as if you're rich and you're not?
Yeah, that's true. If there are people that are trying to find out how they can learn those financial lessons you learned, how can they just send like a email to you? How do you have like a contact that they can get to you?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Well, if we have it, we'll put it in the description.
Yes, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah, they can do that. But seriously, I believe that, and right now we're heading for another crash.
Yeah, I know, we're talking
another
about
recession.
That. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just being ignorant or not observant enough. But I know we're heading for a crash, but I didn't hear it as much detail as you told me. I didn't hear it in as much detail as you told me. I guess I haven't been aware enough of what's been going on lately. So you said that the crash is coming soon, right? Like next year, you said it was?
Well, the economists, they're saying that it's going to be here. They're trying to hold the stock market up until like next, June or something like that.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah, because what happened is that they're blaming it on a lot of those banks that are like having so much unsecured loans out there, and like they're blaming it also on China, because China has been like out there pumping a lot of money out there, lending a lot of money. So the economy right now is basically just like a big balloon right now. It's so inflated right now, it's going to pop, right? So I really don't know the full cause of it, but the signs are there, and the economists, they're saying that it's happening. And one of the things that I used I told them before even it got this far, because the minute that the government put up the stress test on getting a loan for a house, this is just trying to secure the economy a little bit more, because was it 2009 when we had that big recession?
Yeah, was it?
Where millions of people in the United States lost their houses.
I think was it 08 or 09?
09. I think it was 09. Yes,
Okay.
it was 09. Right? Millions of people lost their homes in the United States, and even when they were like tenting on the side of the streets, they were pushed out of the city because the government told them that squatters weren't allowed. Right? And so what happened is that a lot of unsecured loan people they got loans wherein that they weren't able to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Which is crazy. Why would they approve them for loans that they're not able to pay? And there's even a big conspiracy about it too. Because have you heard about the Rothschild?
I don't even want to talk about them.
Because I'm a little bit into conspiracy, but do you know where I'm going with that?
I know where you're going with that, but you know, one of the things that I have learned is that people have to take responsibility for their own lives.
I know.
You know, they do what they're doing.
Right.
And if you focus, one of the things, I was very much in conspiracy theories.
Okay.
And I was consumed by it.
Okay.
I was consumed by negative news. I was consumed by everything that was happening in the world. And that wasn't getting me anywhere. The Rothschild, all of those people, they've accomplished what they want to accomplish already. And they're still, no matter what you say about them, no matter what people will talk about them, they're still going to be powerful. Where are you today? Where am I today?
Yeah.
So I chose to focus on where I can go and what I can make for myself, right? They're in control, yes, of the wealth. They're in control of the banking system, yes, and all of that. But, you know, there are some things that we just don't have control over, just like the weather.
Yeah.
So my question is, why waste time on things that you can't change?
Yeah, you can't change those things. I agree with you, but they have some influence.
A lot of influence. They do have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of secret organization that has a lot of influence that, you know, they can change your life just like that.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. They're in control. But that's my point. The point that I'm making right now is that no matter what you say about them, they will always be who they are.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah. Which is true.
Exactly my point. My thing is having more of an awareness of what's happening.
Yeah.
To posture myself, to defend myself against what can affect my family and myself.
Yeah.
That is where my focus is on right now. I don't have time to be like plunging myself into, as I said before, I can relate. Talk about conspiracies. I was like one of those guys on YouTube every day. Oh, that.
The thing is, I'm not saying that people should focus on Rothschild and not focus on themselves. As you know, I'm huge about people focusing on themselves and achieving things. And like, because what do you care about what Obama is doing or what Trump is doing? You just need to focus on what you're doing and get better. I agree with that 100%. But that being said, you know, these things are happening, right? Like, for instance, now, why you mentioned Rothschild with that 2009, 2008 depression is like we just talked about. People were getting approved for houses they can't afford, right? Through banks, right? And then eventually, when these people can't pay for these houses, the banks take them, right? And even the banks get bankrupt as well, right? So then the Federal Reserve or whoever has to bail them out. And guess who owns most of the money in the Federal Reserve? The Rothschild people. So for them, when the economy is in that kind of depression or whatever the kind of state it is, they're just buying more and buying more assets and owning more. So the reason why I mentioned that is because it has no effect on you as a person in terms of what you want to achieve, but these guys are taking over, really. Like they have
What do
the
you mean
economy
taking over?
They have the economy in their hands.
They're in control. They're not taking over anything. The point.
They're taking over.
I want to show you something.
Pretty much.
I want to show you something.
Yeah, sure.
I want to show you something. It's like, look at. They have this little thing in Jamaica. They say that if you can't beat them, join them.
Join them. Yeah.
I can't beat those guys. They own the wealth of the world. So, the thing is that now, if you're an employee, you pay more taxes, you get more tax breaks. So basically,
The rich gets richer.
that's how. But again, I will tell you one thing though. Most poor people today, the reason that they're poor, or we're poor, it's because we're afraid to come out of our comfort zone. We're afraid to take chances. We're afraid of failure. Those people, they weren't afraid of failures. Those people, they weren't afraid to jump and to take ownership of their lives and knowing where they want to go. So when I look at it, even in the business that I do right now, I've started in January and I've proven it to be absolutely authentic. And because I've seen how many people that it has helped, I've introduced it to so many people, and what they say, I got no time, I don't believe in it, you know, all of those negative things. So they won't even take the chance to look at something that potentially can give them the life or the wealth that those people have.
Potentially.
And when I said potentially, there is a greater potential for them to get it if they work as hard as anybody else who have acquired wealth. It could take 5-10 years. The average business fails or succeed within the first 5 years. Some people want it within the first 6 months.
Yeah.
So within the first 6 months of hardship, I am done, I am out. So my thing is that when I look at those wealthy people and what they have, I have a different mindset towards them. And why I do, because I realized they were willing to take the risk. They were willing to have the sleepless nights and do whatever it took to get them where they want, to create a life of legacy for them and their family. But for most of the poorer class people, they will not look out of the box. Most of them, it's just like sheep. Bah, bah. I have tried so many times.
The leader.
I have tried so many times and I've failed. Am I going to stop trying right now? I'd rather die trying to be wealthy and to be free than to accept this life wherein that my life is dependent on my boss telling me, sorry, I can't keep you no more.
Yeah. I think people have to find a way to do their own thing. That's what I think.
People have to find a way, but most people aren't looking.
I think it's a mentality thing.
It is a mentality.
Some people are okay with where I had a friend. I told him, this was back in school, back when we were doing our diploma. I'm like, oh, would you ever think of owning your own business or something like that, or working for yourself at least? And he was Canadian. You know what he said to me? He said, no. Why would I? Like, why would I do it? And I'm like, why wouldn't you? I couldn't get it. Even at that point, that was years ago. It's probably like 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe. I was like, why wouldn't you? Like, really? You want to work for yourself for the rest of your life? That's crazy. I think people should be entrepreneurs. I think that's the only way you control your life.
And this is the perfect market for it right now. This is absolutely the perfect market. Everything is going online right now.
Yeah.
There are so many different organizations out there who are offering their opportunity for you to take ownership and to make the same amount of money or even more and freedom. But no, Their people are still, you know what? The thing about it, it's something that has been going on for centuries. People are so traditional wherein that they're afraid to break traditions. They're afraid to step out of the box. And as long as you're going to live within the tradition, you're always going to be left behind, because we're living in, evolving country or world wherein that everything is evolving. What worked 10 years ago doesn't work now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do you get me? I don't know if you read this article with this teacher the other day. He borrowed a student. He took out a student loan for $30,000, and life happened. Couldn't afford to pay it. He had other debt and all of that, and didn't pay for a period of time. And now they're telling him that he owes $135,000. Okay, 135. Now you cannot go into bankruptcy with a student loan.
Interesting.
You cannot, no matter what. If you move to the United States, they can find you and they can garnish your wages in the United States. No matter where you are in North America. Whatever tax return you're going to get, they're going to take that money back from you. So my thing is that now, when they looked at it, they said like more than 40% of the people who borrowed a student loan today are defaulting on it. And they're saying by 2022, you're going to have over 60% of that. Why is that so much? Because people think that I can go to university, take out a loan, and I'm going to have a grand life. Good luck with that. Go to Calgary and look into the restaurants and see how many university students are serving.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, people from third world countries like where we're from, right, believe that people overseas here are making lots of money.
Nope, they're not.
They think, oh my God, you're just enjoying yourself. Oh yeah, just picking money from the tree. Oh, snow falls down. Oh, you could just. It's like
I know.
There are people that are working night shifts in restaurants to pay their bills, to send money back home, and to do all these things. It's crazy.
But you look at it and there, like, you got a high percentage of people who have post-secondary education are still not able to pay back their student loan because they can't find a job that pays that much. If you look at Indeed, if you look at Kijiji or any one of those job websites, look at what they're paying you as a salary, as an income. Very few jobs out there you might get $65,000 a year.
Right.
Very few jobs. So when you think about it, they're saying that in order for you to succeed, by the time you get to 30, you should have at least 6 months of money saved up. That in case something goes wrong, that's your rainy day fund. And not only that, but differently from your rainy day fund, you should have at least $30,000 stacked up for that too, right? My question is that how can someone achieve that when they're leaving school in the negative of $20,000 or $25,000 of student loan already?
So let's imagine if they even earn that $30,000 after they leave school, it's only going to balance off. Zero.
And then they go into a job and you don't have enough experience, so you start at the bottom and you take like maybe another 5 or 6 years to get up to the top, where in that you start making at least $30,000.
That's if you even get a job, because now you need experience to get experience. So
that's my point. So it's an illusion wherein that people thinking that I should go into debt to get an education and I'm going to get this good job. Think out of the box.
Yeah.
Most of the wealthy people in the world today, a lot of them today, they don't have post-secondary education. They had ideas, they had dreams, they had vision, and they worked towards those to make it better. So education is an asset, yes. But at the same time, why is it so expensive?
That's true. My take on the whole thing is I still think people need to earn an education, right? Just to have something to fall back on. But at the same time,
I do agree with that 100%.
Yes. But at the same time, don't bank on that. To me, I feel like you need to, if you want to make it big in life, you can't make it big by working for somebody else. You got to do your own thing. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Start your own business, start your own online business, be the next Facebook, be the next Twitter, be the next Uber. You got to do something for yourself outside the box. The education is nice. It's nice to have that if you want to fall back on. I'm not saying you should get in debt. If you can do it in a way and you don't get in debt, that's great. But use the education to save as much or to make as much money as you can, right? But know where the thin line is between making huge debt and making money. Like when you get that balance after your education, or don't go in deep debt is what I'm trying to say. Don't go in like 30,000, 60,000, whatever thousand in debt, and then use their education.
How can you avoid that when you were poor?
There's some courses that you could take.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's it. So if
Yeah.
the courses that you can take where that it won't bring in that much debt, and then you can work and save your money and put yourself through, that is taking ownership of your life.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that I'm going to tell my child that as soon as you leave high school, go take out a loan for $30,000 or $25,000,
Yeah.
and you're not guaranteed a job that is going to help you to pay that off within a certain amount of time, it is just ridiculous to me.
No, I hear you, but
It is just ridiculous. I believe, this is my thought, this is where my take on it. Educators of this country or any country should not have to take out a student loan.
think it should be free.
I believe that. Okay, for instance, in Jamaica. Jamaica is a third world country. And what happened is that if you want to become a nurse or a teacher, basically the government will fund you to an extent. But you have to sign a contract with them for 5 or 6 years
Really?
to work within the system. And when after that you have done your service, yes, your salary is going to be less, but after 5 or 6 years, you're going to be free. That's an opportunity to be free. Why is it a first world countries making educators? What is it? Like a high school teacher, they make what, like $35,000 a year, something like that. 30. Excuse me, I can't even survive off $35,000 a year.
Yeah, that's
I
really
can't
low.
do it.
Yeah.
Seriously, the only way that I could survive off that is like, okay, I'm gonna live the lowest life, or a very low life, because what that $35,000 a year is gonna do, I'm gonna have good credit, and I'm gonna get a good credit card, a big credit card, a line of credit, and yes,
Just maxed.
I want to take a vacation, credit card.
Yeah.
So basically, they'll never catch up. It's like, this is your target, and this is you.
Going away from it.
Away from it all the way. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not disagreeing with having an education. I believe that people should be educated, get it. But I believe that the government can do something better for the people who wants to be educated, cheaper. Education can be cheaper, right? And I don't believe that you should put your kids in a $30,000 debt before they even start life.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't believe that, because you're not giving them a fighting chance. You're not.
Which is why parents need to, I'm not a parent, but my advice is like parents need to make sure that they're in a situation where they can help their kids the best they can.
Parents are struggling like crazy right now.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I say that with a light voice, is because
like as I said before, right now, I just learned today from my boss that a number of people got laid off, and one particular company, I will not call the name of the company, they have just paid out over $1.5 million, laying off people, and they're now setting up another package of another $2 million to lay off another bunch of people.
jeez.
And when I look at that, I know what's going to happen. A friend of mine, she's a psychologist, she's a counselor, and what she works at the Lacombe Hospital, and in 2015 when the crash came, she had to take stress leave because every day people were just coming in crying,
Wow.
hopelessly. Marriages were falling apart. I look in my community and I saw it was like a flea market, because everybody was just dumping everything they can possibly sell. And this is as a result of us not being aware of what's happening and posturing ourselves for the impact that this is going to create. Right? I've been like thinking about it, and I'm working assiduously just to make sure that, it doesn't impact me as much as it did before. But I can see a lot of family going under after this. It's like 1 month away from Christmas, and these people are now getting laid off, and in the winter you can't get that many jobs. And if the economy is going to crash or anything like that, this is not me putting fear in anybody, but it's the reality of what's happening. You just lost your job.
Yeah.
So you know that Alberta is basically the oil base,
Yeah.
province, and if the price of oil goes down or if that crashes, then basically
Everything.
it's going to affect every industry.
Yes, that's true.
If you work in a hotel, they're going to lay you off. If you work in a restaurant, they're going to lay you off.
Yeah.
Everywhere it's going to be impacted. So this is just what my thing is that after having that experience in 2015, I decided that I needed to make some changes. And, I sought out people who definitely I saw them living a life that I wanted to live, and they were willing to help me to live it. And it's not like I'm a success as they are, but the success principles that they're giving me and I'm living by right now, it makes me feel like a success already, because I'm seeing it literally changing my life in every aspect. Now I know how to relate to my kids better because of the principles that they're teaching me. I know how to relate to my significant one better. We're having like a phenomenal relationship right now.
That's good.
It is so awesome that I'm like, couldn't be better, right?
Yeah.
And even my friends. And the other thing that I look at is that even being at work, I was like, I didn't even want to take on any responsibilities. They offered me the position for how long, and I turned it down. And since this came about, I'm like, whatever, man, give it to me. And that is how my life is changing in a positive way. And the opportunity that I have, it's not only to make money, but to live a better life, and to learn how to relate to people better. And I believe that the person who I am becoming, it's the greatest wealth that anyone can have, because once you are, you're remade in the sense of the person who is making the money.
Right.
You'll never be broke again.
Yeah.
You'll never be broke. Take that person who is wealthy today, who has a success principle, and put him in the poorest place, and he will be the wealthiest person among them, because he will find a way of making the money.
That's true.
So the wealth is not about you just having a lot of money. It's a mindset.
Absolutely, and that's real. So we have the questions. This is our question segment. Are you ready?
Go ahead, shoot. Ask
Are
me
you
your question.
excited? Actually,
I thought we were almost done, but if you got your questions asked.
Well, are you not having fun?
I am having fun.
Okay, so I'll let you pick a random one, and I can read the question. Actually,
Okay.
I'll read it. I'll give you like 5 questions. How about that?
5 out of the cup. Yes.
Okay. This is interesting because you've been talking a lot about money. This one is perfect for you. This one says, what is the best and worst purchases you ever made?
There was I literally love Armadas, those SUVs,
Nissan Armadas, okay?
right?
Those are nice.
And I remember that before the crash came, Colleen and I, we decided that we were just gonna buy new cars and all of that. And I said 5 years time it will be paid off, and we'll have both new cars. I bought a Charger, and she bought the Armada.
Nice.
And just
Nice
after
choices.
that was beautiful. It was a beautiful car, leather, everything fully loaded and everything. I love that car so much. Well, she loved it even more than I did. But that was a very good purchase. But at the same time, what happened was that after the crash came, we couldn't afford to pay for it. So we had to let it go.
Oh, it's painful.
It was painful because we ended up in a minivan.
No, you feel the difference, that's for sure.
Feel the difference. But you know what? That humbled me. It humbled me. Because I was the guy who said I would never drive a minivan.
Be careful what you say.
I was one of those guys who would never ever drive a minivan, and I looked at it and I'm like, hell no. And
funny.
I ended up enjoying having the minivan because it was affordable, and it took a lot of stress off us.
That's good.
It saved us, really saved us.
That's
And
good.
that is my thing when I said to you that, you know, having this look of being rich and don't have whatever it takes to back it. This delusion that so many people are taking pictures and posting on Facebook. You can know who are rich, man. The people who are having it, they don't
They
post
don't
shit like
make
that on
noise,
Facebook
yeah.
all the time,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So that was like a very good purchase, but it was really a bad time in purchasing it.
Okay. Makes sense. Let's get you your second one. Pick your poison.
Okay, I'll choose another one.
Why?
That was
Did you
one
see
way
what
up at
that
the
one
top.
was?
I didn't see what it was.
Are you sure?
I didn't see what it was. I get you a smaller one. There you go.
There you go. Oh, yeah, it's not by size, you know that. It's bigger. The fact that it's bigger doesn't
Be
make it
careful
more
when you talk
complex.
about size, huh?
Okay. Describe a real life situation where you stood up for someone or something.
Typical to what I told you earlier on
Yeah.
about me being the bully who converted to being the defender of the innocent people, kids,
Yeah.
right? And that's just it. You know, I hate to see bullies today,
Yeah.
and I don't like when people look down on people and put people down, or you know, all of that. You know, I don't even like to say bad things about people, to be honest with you. To me, it hurts me when I caught myself saying bad things about people, and I'm like, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not that person. I don't like it. I've been at work wherein that I've seen guys who, like, you know, just talk bad things about people all the time. And sometimes I would say, you know what? Personally, what I do, I don't judge people based on what I hear about them. I want to have my own experience.
Exactly.
So you could tell me, as you know, the worst thing about Addy. You could call him a pylon, whatever you want to call him. And I will be like, okay, that's how you feel about him. Let me see what experience I'm going to have with him.
Exactly.
So I give Addy a chance to prove himself, whether or not he's a pylon or whatever, you know. So that's just it.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I find that most of the bullying, especially for adults, is surprisingly comes from work. Most
A
it
lot
comes
of
from
a lot
work,
of
yeah.
people in the workforce today, they're still kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Immature.
They're very immature. I'm like, are you kidding me? And these are the people who are responsible to raise other kids.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're
Oh, yeah.
responsible. So you can imagine the next generation that is coming out of that family,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So
Oh, that's crazy.
that's just it.
Okay, your next one.
You choose for me.
Yeah, I'll choose. No, I took a big one.
Are you trying to prove something?
Sorry for you. What are some things that sound like compliments but are actually insults? For me, some people have told me that I talk a lot, and most people don't think I do unless you actually know me, and then you know that I talk.
I
a
didn't.
lot.
When I saw you at the barbershop that day, I didn't even hear, you never said a word.
Yeah. That's because at that time we didn't even know each other. That was before we knew each other.
Yeah, but I was the guy that was just chatting away because I was excited about life and I wanted to share it.
Exactly. And then, if you remember, we've had moments where we've had like an hour conversations,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that were just supposed to be 5 minutes, and it'll be like an hour, right? I remember that time while you were driving, right? So, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be taken as a bad thing. But the fact that, you know, I talk a lot is like, I like to listen to people, and I like to give my opinions on things. So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, people being condescending sometimes, and you know, you can pick up on some things that they're saying, their tone of voice and what they're trying to say, and they try to put it in a way where that it sounds like they're complimenting you, but you know exactly what they're trying to put out there.
Exactly.
But as I said before, the person who I am right now, it's like I pick up on that. Doesn't affect me. I was literally called nigger in Edmonton once And I smiled.
Typical situation overseas.
I smiled because I'm like, I pity they don't know the awesome guy that I am,
Yeah, exactly.
and the awesome friend that they're losing. Because beyond this, the complexion, the skin, the color of the skin, here lies an awesome guy that you could be a friend to. I could be your friend.
That's right.
So I've lived above that right now. I don't go home and cry about the negative things people say or whatever they're trying to put me, whenever they're trying to put me down. So even if they're trying to compliment me and it's an insult, sorry.
Exactly.
It's, you know, I go home and I don't have a sleepless night over that.
Exactly.
So,
And
yeah.
that's how it's supposed to be. If people have their opinions, doesn't mean anything.
No.
Yeah.
As long as it's not affecting my income and my family, that's fine with me.
Exactly.
It's your right to freedom of speech, right?
Exactly.
Right.
I think there's a saying that opinions are like asses or something like that. Everybody has one or something crazy like that. There's something like that. What's a body part that you wouldn't mind losing?
None. I wouldn't mind losing.
Yeah, there's got to be one. You could
What?
have your appendix,
Oh,
pancreas, your leg, your finger.
You're asking me a question that I never thought about.
I
I've
know. That's the point of it.
Who
Yeah.
thinks about something like
That's
that?
the point of it.
Seriously. Seriously, the way that I was created, I was like, I've always accepted myself, you know, not always, but, you know, through self-development and everything, I've accepted myself. I've never, ever really thought about it. That's a hard one, and I can't tell you that
It
one.
is hard. No, you gotta think about one. There's gotta be one. Like, there's so many parts of that. Like, there's your legs. You know, the people that, the people that, you know.
Put it this way, I'm happy.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I have,
happy. I'm
if,
happy
if,
too.
if it's a defective part of my body that is hurting the rest of my body, by all means, take it.
Okay.
But if I'm well, if I'm healthy, I don't see the need of having a desire to lose any part of me.
No, I don't think anybody desires to lose any part of them.
But that's my point. I
You could lose your gallbladder.
yeah,
Yeah.
You can
but
live without it.
when
All
that
your-
when that time comes,
Do you still have your appendix?
no, I don't.
Oh, there you go.
Not that I wanted to lose it, but it
Yeah.
inflated, so I had to get it out.
There you go. It's
But
gone.
It was my desire.
Okay.
I knew nothing about appendicitis until that happened to me. So
Wow.
there you go.
Wow, it's funny that I guessed that. We have the you give or you get section where I flip a coin and you could choose whichever one you want, heads or tails. And if it's whichever one, you give, and if it's the other one, you get a gift from us. So you give means you donate to any charity of your choice, and then you get means we give you a gift. So
What if I have a charity already?
it's good, whatever, that's fine.
I do have a charity.
No, so you
Yeah.
do actually? Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we donate to the food bank
Wow, that's good.
because we believe in that when God blesses us that we should give.
Makes
So a part of our budget is also a part of charity. We have a charity envelope for that.
perfect.
I'll take heads.
Okay. Heads is you get, and tail is you give.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna flip it. Are you ready?
go ahead.
Okay, so it's heads. That means you get. Yes, so that means you get a gift from us.
How did that
Mr.
happen?
I just happened.
You
just
rigged
like
it.
that. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I really would. Yeah. Sure.
You just wanted to give away something.
Yeah,
You could have
right.
just said, you know, whatever.
You're right. You think I just wanted to give away
Crowd
something?
noise.
So, pick anything. Pick. You got some options here.
Okay.
Whichever one you pick is where you're gonna get tonight, sir. As an appreciation for you coming here and sharing lots of things and letting us learn a lot about you and motivating us to.
I get a Bar Mall gift card.
Woo! Awesome. Awesome.
You're crazy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Here we go. Here you go, sir.
Okay, thank you.
$10 Walmart gift card.
Sure.
But no.
Charity. Thank
See?
you.
See? But no, it's been a pleasure having you. Like I really appreciate, the session we had. I know
Yeah.
that you have an appointment. I know that you came here. But it's been a lot. I learned a lot personally. And you're a wealth of knowledge, and you know a lot of things, and you're one of the people that inspire me. And you just, we being in contact makes so much of a difference to me, because like for some reason every time you always message me, it's always when there's something going on in our lives. There's always, I don't know why, but every time there's something going on in our lives. I don't know if that's God destined, just making that be or whatever, but I know we've been planning this for a long time. And
Yeah, that's true. That is
We're
true. It
able to
was
make it happen.
that I believe in that. If I can add value to somebody's life, then that is just me getting my pleasure right there. I like to give, and that was one of the problems that I have had over the years, wherein that people like my ex thought that I was giving too much, right? But I love people, to be honest with you. I have a lot of empathy, and sometimes it's too much. But yeah, it was really a privilege being here. It was really good to come here and have this discussion, because through this media, I hope that I can inspire somebody to look into their lives, to see where that they can make positive changes, to protect themselves from things that people accept as the norm, like debt. People just thinking that, okay, getting a credit card and everything is just the norm, getting debt and all of that, and not even know how to relate to their spouse and all of that, their kids. I would like to, anybody that I can be a part of their lives, to talk to them and they can inspire me, because I see everyone, no matter what position that you are, I believe that I can learn something from you.
Absolutely.
So in life, I believe in it being reciprocal, no matter what.
That's right.
And thanks for having
being
me.
here, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert the Pilgrim. Thank you so much, sir.
That's all right, man.
And that's it.